On June 23rd, the deadly feud between Foolio and Yungeen Ace reached a shocking climax.
Rapper Charles Jones, known as Foolio, shot and killed in Tampa.
But in a jaw-dropping twist, days after his death, Foolio himself left a haunting comment under Yungeen Ace's Instagram post. This chilling comment has everyone questioning, is Foolio still alive? And if so, is the worst yet to come? In this video, we're diving into the latest twists and turns in this deadly rivalry, exploring how Foolio might be flipping the script on everything. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. The war between Foolio and Yungeen Ace. Hip-hop culture is all about those epic lyrical battles, two rappers going head-to-head, flexing their rhymes and wordplay to outshine each other. It's pure creativity and talent on display. But sometimes, when the beats stop, the words get real, and things can turn deadly. That's exactly what's been happening in Jacksonville, where the beef between Foolio and Yungeen Ace has exploded way beyond the music, bringing violence and tragedy to the streets. This violent scene is a far cry from the musical roots of their conflict. What started as lyrical battles has spiraled into a brutal gang war, with Foolio's KTA and Yungeen Ace's ATK right in the middle of it all. For those who aren't familiar with the situation, let me fill you in. ATK, which stands for various acronyms like Ace's Top Killers, Aces to Kill, and Aim to Kill, is a gang with members spread across the east and west sides of Jacksonville. Unlike many gangs that originate from a single neighborhood or block, ATK is a fusion of several groups from different parts of the city. This diverse composition has made ATK a formidable force in Jacksonville's gang landscape. Yungeen Ace, the leader of ATK, was born Keonta Tyrone Bullard in East Chicago, Indiana. He moved to Jacksonville, Florida when he was just 4. Ace's life was tough from the jump. His father got murdered and his mom had to raise him and his 11 siblings by herself. They were in and out of shelters, always struggling to make ends meet. Despite all the challenges, Ace found his escape in music. He started rapping at 13 and dropped his first tracks in 2018. His debut single, No Witness, blew up quick, and his following projects solidified his spot in the rap game. Over the years, ATK has become synonymous with Yungeen Ace, making him the face of the gang. Other prominent members of ATK include Young 23, also known as RJ, Rollo, and Trey Shorty. Another key figure is K-So, who along with his brother Boss Goon and ATKY Breezy are original members from Melvin Park. The 1200 crew from the east part of the city, including members like Corbin, Spinnabins, and Wappa with the Choppa, is also aligned with ATK. On the other side of this deadly conflict is KTA, which stands for Kill Them All. KTA stems from an older gangster crew called PCE, or Problem Child Entertainment. PCE was well known to Jacksonville authorities and was hit with a RICO case on November 16, 2017. Despite the arrest of 10 gang members, new members quickly filled their ranks. Foolio, the leading KTA member, grew up in a crime-ridden environment and got his first gun at the age of 13.
Bro, a got their first gun in 7th grade, 6th going to 7th, the Deuce 5, so after that, it was a wrap.
Foolio, whose real name is Charles Jones, comes from Hilltop Village Apartments on the north side of Jacksonville, which he calls the most violent part of the city. Growing up in such a challenging environment marked by violence and poverty, Foolio turned to music as an outlet for his experiences and struggles. His early life in Jacksonville's rough neighborhoods deeply influenced his lyrics, which often addressed themes of street life, personal loss, and survival. Foolio began gaining significant attention in 2018 with tracks like Coming Up, which showcased his unique style and lyrical depth. His music, including hits like Crooks, Slide, and Voodoo, quickly racked up millions of views on platforms like YouTube, cementing his place in the rap industry. Other KTA members include Kojak, Zion Brown, Techie. The gang also has connections with YNR, Young and Reckless, a group based on the south side of Jacksonville. Notable members from YNR include Rod K, Baby 9, Little 9, and Spodum Godum. The origins of the beef between ATK and KTA are murky, with these crews having bad blood for a long time. However, a significant turning point was the death of Zion Brown, Foolio's cousin, on May 27, 2017.
Police say it was in this home where 18-year-old Zion Brown was shot.
Zion was at home with his younger sisters and cousins when someone from ATK, Deontre Thomas, also known as Trey Shorty, threw a brick through the window and started firing. Zion was killed and 2 girls were injured. Thomas was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison. The death of Zion Brown deeply affected KTA, and they sought retaliation. On June 5, 2018, Young and Ace's best friend, 23 or RJ, was celebrating his 18th birthday with Ace's younger brother Trayvon Bullard and Jacoby Groover. They were ambushed at a traffic light, and Trayvon Bullard, 23, and Jacoby Groover were killed. Young and Ace survived but were hit 8 times and later had to appear in court for violating his probation. Following the tragic deaths of Yungeen Ace's brothers, KTA intensified the conflict by heading to a cemetery to shoot a music video for their affiliate, Jake Jitt. During the shoot, KTA members posed disrespectfully at the gravesite of 23, taking photos that depicted depicted them placing their shoes on the grave marker, making obscene gestures, and mimicking guns with their hands. The provocative photos were then posted on social media, sparking an intense backlash from ATK members. This blatant act of disrespect reignited the violent feud, leading to a new wave of retaliatory violence that claimed the lives of several top shooters from both gangs. One prominent ATK member who was killed in the ensuing violence was Boss Goon. Willie Addison, known as Boss Goon, was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. From a young age, he was exposed to the harsh realities of street life. Growing up in a neighborhood plagued by crime and gang activity, Willie found himself drawn into the urban underworld. In 2010, Boss Goon was charged with murder and possession of a firearm. Despite the serious nature of these charges, he managed to avoid conviction when the charges were dropped. However, his legal troubles didn't end there. He was later convicted of burglary and lying under oath, which led to a 6-year prison sentence. Altogether, with other legal issues and trials, he spent a total of 10 years in prison before being released in June 2018. Upon his release from prison in June 2018, Boss Goon wasted no time pursuing his dream of a rap career. He quickly got to work, channeling his life experiences into his music. Within a month, he was already promoting his upcoming single. However, Boss Goon's release also made him a target in the ongoing gang war between Foolio and Yungeen Ace. On January 5th, 2019, just 10 days before his death, Boss Goon posted a flyer on his Facebook account for an upcoming performance on January 15th at the Paradise Gentlemen's Club. The comments under the post showed excitement from his fans, and Boss Goon welcomed everyone to attend. The big day arrived, and Boss Goon went to the venue with his family and friends, ready to have a good time. He took the stage, rapping and enjoying the moment, looking happy and carefree with the crowd. However, his rivals were aware of his location and had marked him for assassination. Around 2 a.m. on January 16th, Boss Goon and his entourage left the club and got into a silver Chevy Tahoe SUV with his father at the wheel. They drove about 6 miles to Spring Park Road on Emerson Street in the Inglewood area of Jacksonville. Surveillance footage captured what happened next. A silver SUV, followed by 2 cars, sped past their parked vehicle and opened fire multiple times. Boss Goon's father later spoke to the press about the horrific incident.
Put my son in the front seat, shot my son in the back, in the head 3 times, shot my nephew several times, couple more passengers in there were shot several times, numerous of times, and I drove all the way from there to Memorial Hospital.
It was in this hospital that Boss Goon lost his life. The ongoing feud also claimed the lives of several prominent KTA members, including Rico Osama. Rico Osama, born Julian House on August 10, 2002, in Jacksonville, Florida, grew up in a neighborhood where the streets often dictated one's path. From a young age, Julian was exposed to the harsh realities of his environment. By his teenage years, he had become affiliated with the ATK gang. Julian's early life was marked by the struggle to find his place amidst the chaos. Despite the challenges, he found solace in music. His passion for rapping began to take shape during his teenage years, providing him with an outlet to express his experiences and emotions. The streets of Jacksonville were not just a backdrop, but a significant influence on his lyrical content. As he delved deeper into the world of rap, Julian adopted the name Rico Osama, a name that would soon resonate with many in the local rap scene. Rico Osama's affiliation with ATK made him a target in the war between Foolio and Yungeen Ace. This led to his death on December 12, 2023. Around 3:53 p.m. that day, an off-duty cop near the 6300 block of San Juan Avenue heard gunshots. The officer immediately called for backup, and within minutes, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene. What they found was a scene of chaos and devastation. Rico Osama lay lifeless on the street, a victim of a targeted hit. Nearby, another victim was caught on surveillance cameras from a local business, crawling across the street with a bullet wound in his left side. He managed to make it to a smoke shop and get help, later surviving his injuries. The broad daylight attack left several innocent bystanders injured, their lives forever changed by the sudden eruption of violence. The death of Rico Osama set off a chain of more violent retaliatory attacks, further escalating the war. This wave of violence ultimately culminated in the tragic death of Foolio himself. Foolio's death. The story of Foolio's tragic end begins with what was supposed to be a weekend of celebration and joy. Foolio had planned an extravagant birthday bash in Tampa, Florida. Foolio and his crew decided to rent an Airbnb for the weekend. The luxurious property was meant to be the epicenter of the festivities, a place where Foolio could unwind and enjoy his special day. But in a world where social media reigned supreme, Foolio made a critical error that would prove to be his downfall. As soon as they arrived at the Airbnb, Foolio took to Instagram to share his excitement with his millions of followers.
The pool party start the day at 5, 6 o'clock. If you already got the address, pull up, man. You got the address, pull up. If you need the address, DM me right now. The pool party start at 5, 6 o'clock.
This seemingly innocent invitation was the first of many mistakes. By broadcasting his location and plans to the world, Foolio inadvertently alerted not just his fans, but also his rivals. The pool party kicked off as planned, with Foolio sharing more updates on his Instagram.
Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their socks, put their socks in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take this on 3, man. 1, 2, 3.
Videos showed a lively atmosphere with drinks flowing and women dancing, all set against the backdrop of the luxurious Airbnb. The girls in the videos giggled and laughed, oblivious to the danger that was brewing. Meanwhile, Foolio's ops were watching closely, planning their next move. This was Foolio's second mistake, continuing to broadcast his every move, giving his enemies a detailed play-by-play of his whereabouts and activities. An hour into the party, the police arrived at the Airbnb. The landlord had been alerted to the raucous gathering and decided to take action. Foolio and his crew were kicked out of the property, but the rapper remained undeterred. Instead of laying low, Foolio made yet another critical error. He posted his next move on Instagram, a poster for a nearby club where the party would continue. The poster included the club's address, once again revealing his location to the world. It was almost as if he was daring his rivals to find him. Once at the club, Foolio continued to share updates, showing exactly where he was sitting inside the venue. This gave his rivals ample time to plan their attack, knowing exactly where he would be and how many people he had with him. After the club, Foolio and his crew gathered in the parking lot while his manager scouted for a place to stay. They decided on a nearby Holiday Inn and headed over. Once there, they sat in the parking lot discussing their plans for the night. Everything was silent until 3 cars filled with rival street members arrived with their headlights off. The attackers targeted Foolio's crew with firearms, specifically searching for Foolio. When they found him, the inevitable happened. The ambush on Foolio was a clear act of retaliation, especially considering the timing. Just months earlier, Foolio had mocked Yungeen Ace for losing his brothers. Now, on Foolio's birthday, he met a similar violent end. News of Foolio's death spread like wildfire, lighting up social media with tributes, condolences, and disturbingly celebratory posts from his enemies. Yungeen Ace, Foolio's most prominent rival, wasted no time in releasing a diss track titled "Do It," directly addressing Foolio's death. The track's lyrics immediately had people pointing fingers at Yungeen Ace, suspecting him of being involved in Foolio's death. The song is filled with violent imagery and direct threats that mirror the events surrounding Foolio's death. Ace raps about eliminating an opponent with lines like "catch his ass and do his ass, you know he finished, and flip his ass and smoke his ass, we stand on business." But it's not just the lyrics that have people talking. The visuals of the "Do It" video are equally provocative. The video features several masked individuals, their faces obscured, as they carry out a brutal attack in what appears to be a hotel parking lot. The imagery is stark and unsettling, drawing a direct parallel to the real-life ambush that claimed Foolio's life. The comments section of Yungeen Ace's Instagram post promoting the "Do It" video is flooded with responses from fans and critics alike. One user wrote, "Yay, they fascio did it," while another stated, "Ace Don got his favorite op." These reactions highlight the widespread belief that Yungeen Ace is subtly implying his involvement in Foolio's murder through the song and its accompanying visuals. The timing of the release is another crucial factor that cannot be overlooked. Dropping the video just hours after Foolio's death seems too coincidental to be accidental. It suggests a calculated move designed to capitalize on the shock and horror of the event, further fueling the speculation that Yungeen Ace is using the track to taunt his rivals and assert his dominance. The hip-hop community was divided in its response to Ace's diss track. While some defended the rapper, arguing that the track was simply part of the ongoing feud and not meant to be taken literally, others saw it as a tasteless and disrespectful move. The controversy surrounding "Do It" only intensified the speculation and conspiracy theories about Foolio's death. Law enforcement officials have not confirmed any connection between Yungeen Ace and the shooting, and no arrests have been made in the case. The broader community's reaction to Foolio's death was one of mourning and reflection. Fans of Foolio took to social media to express their sorrow and disbelief, sharing memories of his music and the impact he had on their lives. Amid the tributes, however, there were also voices of criticism, pointing out the role Foolio's own actions and lifestyle may have played in his demise. Charleston White, known for his controversial and often provocative statements, took to Instagram to share his reaction to Foolio's death. His response was anything but sympathetic.
"I told him they would go get him." "Yeah, well, I didn't tell him they would go get him. I just knew they would go get him. Because the boy works hard to get got."
White's comments were harsh and unapologetic. He mocked Foolio for celebrating his birthday, despite having been shot in the foot the previous year.
He got his foot shot off, ain't supposed to be bouncing around on his birthday. Man, get somewhere and sit down and rest that foot and work your hips. Nigga supposed to be
In the video, Charleston White went so far as to say that no one should mourn Foolio because he got what was coming to him.
Should nobody be sad what done happened to Foolio? One thing we know about it, he didn't go to heaven.
That ain't good. What's name?
Yeah, now one thing about it, he ain't in heaven. Nah, wait, that boy, listen, he had all the time in the world to apologize to them people. He was going to the graveyard, rapping at the graveyard. Man, that making people mama cry.
A few people agreed with Charleston White's remarks. While his comments were controversial, they highlighted the harsh reality that a life lived on the edge often ends in tragedy. Another notable reaction to Foolio's death came from Jacksonville rapper Natalac, who collaborated with Foolio on a song back in 2018. Natalac expressed deep sorrow and frustration over Foolio's death. He remembered Foolio as a respectful person and emphasized that, despite the negative opinions others had about Foolio, he never saw that side of him. Reflecting on the tragic loss, Natalac highlighted the grim reality of the violent lifestyle often glorified in the rap scene. He noted the pain of seeing young talents like Foolio, who could have grown into responsible adults, lose their lives prematurely. It's a painful ordeal all the way around, Natalac said. These kids are half my age, and I'm expecting them to be fathers and mothers, and they don't grow up at all. It's very disappointing. The veteran rapper also hopes that Foolio's death serves as a wake-up call to the dangers of glorifying violence in music, stressing that the pursuit of clout through dangerous actions is ultimately not worth the cost. Foolio's mother, Sandrika, also shared her reaction. In a heartfelt Instagram post, she revealed her plans to create a documentary that tells the true story of Foolio's life and death. Sandrika's emphasized that she is the only one who can accurately tell this story, having witnessed both the truths and the falsehoods surrounding her son. She expressed frustration over being judged as an absent mother, highlighting her continuous efforts to steer Foolio away from a dangerous path. Sandrika's recounted the dangers she faced due to Foolio's lifestyle, sharing that she had been shot 8 times. She wrote, "MFs ask where his mom, it starts from home. Them not knowing I stayed on you about this beef chit, cussed you out, begged you to take stuff down, and when I was shot 8 times, I spared their lives, even though mine was changed." Through her documentary, Sandrika's aims to shed light on the complexities of Foolio's life and the harsh realities of the environment that shaped him. This kind of deadly hip-hop gang feud is not unique to Foolio's story. The intersection of music, violence, and rivalry has led to numerous tragic incidents in the hip-hop community. Other deadly gang wars in hip-hop. One of the most notorious examples of deadly gang feuds in hip-hop is the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry in the 1990s. Hip-hop is widely believed to have originated on the East Coast of the United States, specifically in New York City. The East Coast sound was known for its complex lyricism, intricate wordplay, and gritty urban themes. Artists like Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Public Enemy emerged from this scene, solidifying New York as the epicenter of hip-hop. As hip-hop grew in popularity, New York rappers were often seen as the gold standard. This sense of dominance created an undercurrent of tension with other regions, especially the West Coast, where a new wave of hip-hop was beginning to take shape. By the late 1980s, the West Coast hip-hop scene started to flourish, led by acts like NWA from Compton, California. Their raw and unfiltered portrayal of life in the streets resonated with many, and they quickly gained a massive following. The West Coast sound was distinct from its East Coast counterpart, characterized by laid-back, funk-infused beats and gangsta rap themes. Artists like Ice-T, Too Short, and Eazy-E became prominent figures in this burgeoning scene. Despite their growing success, West Coast artists often felt overshadowed by their East Coast counterparts. The East Coast's perceived condescension towards the West Coast created an inferiority complex among West Coast artists, setting the stage for what would become a full-blown rivalry. The first significant sign of this rivalry emerged in 1991 when Bronx rapper Tim Dog released the album Penicillin on Wax. This album contained several skits mocking West Coast artists and a diss track directed at NWA, including Dr. Dre, titled Compton. This track was a direct attack on the West Coast and foreshadowed the intense rivalry that was to come. Dr. Dre responded a year later on his debut solo album, The Chronic, further fueling the animosity. Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row Records in Los Angeles, played a significant role in escalating the feud. His aggressive and confrontational approach intensified the rivalry. In 1993, Sean Puff Daddy Combs founded the New York-centered hip-hop label, Bad Boy Records. The label's debut releases by Brooklyn-based rapper The Notorious Big, also known as Biggie Smalls, and Long Island-based rapper Craig Mack became immediate critical and commercial successes, further solidifying New York's dominance in the hip-hop scene. The rivalry reached a boiling point with a series of personal and public incidents. In 1994, Tupac Shakur was shot and robbed in New York, an incident he believed was orchestrated by East Coast rivals. This event deepened the animosity between the two coasts. The following year, the release of Who Shot Ya by the Notorious Big added fuel to the fire, as Tupac interpreted the song as a taunt directed at him. Tupac's suspicions led him to publicly accuse Diddy of being responsible for the attack during interviews, further escalating the tension between the East and West Coast factions.
So, do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
I believe so. I do believe so.
The rivalry culminated in the tragic deaths of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious Big on September 7th, 1996. Tupac was shot in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He succumbed to his injuries 6 days later. Just 6 months after Tupac's death, on March 9, 1997, Biggie was killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles. Both murders shocked the world and remain unsolved, shrouded in mystery and speculation. In recent times, Memphis, much like Jacksonville, has experienced its own hip-hop gang wars, particularly between Paper Route Empire and Trula Mafia. Initially, these groups had a friendly relationship, largely due to J Money, a rising star in Memphis's rap scene and a key member of Trula Mafia. He and Young Dolph, the founder of Paper Route Empire, were close collaborators. However, J Money's dual life as a rapper and a street figure eventually caught up with him. In 2014, he was charged with first-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted murder for allegedly killing his own associate Enzel Monroe. Monroe was driving when J Money opened fire, mistaking him for an enemy. Despite Monroe's attempts to signal that he was not a threat, J Money continued shooting until Monroe was dead. The details of why J Money started shooting remain unclear, but this incident marked the beginning of a series of tragic events. Despite his legal troubles, J Money continued to rise in the rap game, but his involvement in the streets made it difficult for him to fully escape the dangers that came with it. On August 2016, J Money was killed outside a nightclub called K Cabaret by a man named Freddie Iber. The police labeled it a gang-related hit, but Iber's affiliations were not clear. J Money's tragic death in 2016 sparked internal strife within the Trula Mafia and set the stage for the rise of Big Scar, who went on to form the rival faction, Rich and Ruthless, Double R. He brought along several loyal associates, including Baby K, KO 2 Times, and Tink. Initially, relations between Double R and Trula Mafia remained relatively peaceful, but this fragile truce would not last long. The feud escalated when a personal conflict between a Double R affiliate named BG and a Trula member named Simo turned violent. BG was killed in an ambush by Trula members, and the ensuing retaliation and street violence intensified the rivalry. The conflict reached a boiling point with numerous shootouts and high-profile arrests, further fueled by diss tracks and social media taunts. This deadly feud turned Memphis into a battleground, claiming multiple lives and drawing in more players from both sides. Young Dolph, who had managed to stay neutral despite his connections to both factions, found himself caught in the crossfire. His decision to sign Big Unk, a Double R member, to his label shattered his neutrality, making him a target for Trula Mafia. Dolph's long-standing feud with Yo Gotti added to the tension, culminating in Dolph's tragic murder in 2021. These deadly hip-hop gang wars, from the infamous East Coast versus West Coast rivalry to the violent clashes in Memphis, show just how bad things can get. The Yungeen Ace and Foolio feud is just another tragic chapter in this story. Will Foolio's death put an end to the war in Jacksonville? Honestly, I doubt it. The chilling comment left from Foolio's own account under Yungeen Ace's post days after his death suggests that someone else is making real threats, warning that the worst is yet to come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.